I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I wanted to be a rock star. I started a band called Biohazard. We just played with Guns N' Roses yesterday. In June, we played to 600,000 people in Poland. I've been a fucking millionaire, and I've been fucking flat broke and sleeping in my car. And then I marry a porn star and get in the porn business and spend 20 years in the adult business, living a bizarre reality show type of life. You wake up one day and you're 50 and you're divorced 3 times, and you check the bank account where there was a lot of figures and there's less figures, and you're in a panic. I'm either going to figure this out or die trying.
So, Evan, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me here. Appreciate it.
You've got a beautiful view behind you. Tell me what's going on.
We're high atop the jungle in Aldea Sama, Tulum, where I live. Been living here for a few years. Actually moving to a new location a little deeper in the jungle at the end of the month with my girlfriend, my dogs, and my cats, and my group of men that we meet at my house.
Yeah, nice. We met very briefly in Tulum, just for some context for the listeners, and we hung out a few times and kind of hit it off, and this has been something that we've been wanting to do for a while. So appreciate you coming on. It's good to have you here. You've lived a wild life from what I understand, and I feel like I've only just scratched the surface of that. So I'd love to get an elevator pitch of who you are, what you do, and how you're contributing to the world, and what that would sound like.
I'll try my best to elevator pitch. I'll preface it with this. I do run a men's group called Mantorship, and this is my life's work purpose and focus right now. It's what I'm going to talk about the most on the podcast. And we introduce ourselves as men. We do intros. We sit in a circle with sometimes 50 men, and we go around. And so I will start my elevator pitch with my intro. Okay, I am Evan. I am a man. I am almost 56 years old this month. And I am really, really grateful to be present in this day, in this moment, right here, right now. And that's what life is all about. My mission is to connect men to a heart space, to help men in general become more mindful. I wrote a book. It's not out yet. The book is called Mantorship, A Man's Guide to Connecting to Purpose, Passion, and Your Truth, Building Confidence, and Living Your Best Life. I'm a person who's really into transformation. I'm really into physical fitness. I'm into yoga. And I'm very much into love and friendship. And I've realized in my 55 plus years here on this earth that if you take care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit, you can do a lot of different things in your life. You can have a very diverse life. And the short story is I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and as a kid, I struggled a lot with addiction and identity, and I wanted to be a rock star. I started a band called Biohazard in my teenage years, and we're still playing to this day, 36 years later, after a 12-year hiatus. We're on a reunion tour, making a new album. We just played with Guns N' Roses yesterday in Mexico City. And we're touring all over the world. So I actively play with Biohazard, and it is my passion because I love music. I love performing and singing and connecting with people. My purpose is helping men become more mindful. My purpose is helping men connect to the life they really want so they don't live in resentment with how they spend their precious time, which is our currency. My book is kind of a modern stoicism meets self-help and the power of now towards applying mindfulness to your daily life. So I'm trying to encourage men to join our circle of brotherhood meetings where guys can share about whatever they're going through in the day that they're in. And we find out we're not alone with our problems. And a lot of guys gain inspiration. A lot of guys get in shape physically, and they have accountability partners. We've built a community that we run on Discord. There's about 300 men in the Discord right now. There's about 1,000 guys in our WhatsApp group, and our Instagram is growing, and we're getting ready to launch a big program, a transformative 8-week program called Mandatory. And
I love the puns.
Yeah, it's very, very poetically writes itself. There's a lot of clever guys. And we have a huge, amazing, robust group of men that are coaches, that are meditation experts, that are nutrition and fitness people, that are guys who can help people connect to their heart, guys who are specialists in dealing with trauma. You know, a lot of men, we have this idea of what masculinity is. And, you know, my generation watched our fathers. You work hard, you shut up, you never complain, you provide, you protect, you keep your mouth shut. And if you have a problem, you fucking don't tell anybody about it. And a lot of men in that era had a lot of problems with violence and alcoholism. Look at men, we're 50% of the population, but we're 100% of the war and 99% of the violence and 80% of the suicides. So we have a 24-hour hotline in our Discord for any man that's like in a crisis and needs to talk, and his brother's on call. And we're building a community of mindful men that encourage each other and lift each other up and help each other along this journey of life, because we recognize life's a journey, not a destination. This place in Tulum is just a stop along this. You know, I've lived a colorful life. I've been in the music business for almost 40 years. I was an actor on an HBO series, Oz, which was HBO's first ever series. I played a heavy dude in the prison, biker Jazz Hoyt, who was a killer with a heart.
Would you call yourself a killer with a heart? Is that your your tagline?
Yeah, the only thing I'm killing these days is you know, writing some really, really heartfelt quotes and playing some big mosh pit shows.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in anything. You know, I'm a vegetarian. I'm anti-violence. I don't carry resentments. I'm trying my best to live my most peaceful life, which is to be mindful and to live with non-attachment. So I've kind of been in this transformative process for some time, and now I'm ready to really bring it forward and share with the world what I've been working on and how I think I can help is by empowering all these other men around me who are these great leaders and build a community. And I've been holding space at some of my festivals for men in person. And it's just amazing what's happening when men get together in a close space where they feel safe without judgment.
I feel like it's definitely been lacking. I'm hearing the same conversations across a lot of my friends, that that community has been lacking, and this is something I'm noticing popping up across the world pretty consistently. So what made you want to, you briefly touched on it, but what made you want to get into this space?
You know, I was going through my third divorce. This was a 12-year marriage. I was really depressed. I was super anxious. I had so much anxiety. I couldn't sleep, and my physical health was suffering. And I was really unhappy and just was attached to this life that I built for myself in Los Angeles. And I was spiraling downward, and I moved here just to change my life, to save my life. You know, where, you know, you're a young guy, Adam, but when you're sometimes in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s and you have to start all over again without any money, or with a big problem on your hands, or you're used to being with somebody and now you're by yourself, or everything you once knew is now other. Sometimes men, because we've been holding it in for so long, we're tired. I hear guys say all the time, I'm tired. I don't have the energy to start again, to get in shape again, to start a new business from scratch. Where am I going to find the power of self-belief that I can do this? Where am I going to find the resources? We have a network in our Discord for men who want to network to create entrepreneurial things that are mindful.
Yeah.
And guys are connecting, and I'm really proud of what we've created so far. And my book's not even out. This whole thing started by accident. I was having imposter syndrome. I moved down here with a bag of clothes and my laptop. to write a book, and the book was going to document my process. Listen, man, I lost everything. I had a lot of money, and it was all gone. One of my best friends in the whole world died of cancer in my arms almost. And the universe just was sending me the messages that it was time for change and to embrace the power of change. And I was fearless in moving to a third world country. I really didn't know anybody, and just started over and got a whole bunch of new friends and a new house and a new outlook. And I took up practices while I was here: yoga, gym, meditation, affirmations, a gratitude practice. And I'm a very disciplined person. If I say I'm going to put on these beads every morning, I do. I don't miss one day.
So run me through what the beads are, out of curiosity.
Okay. It's funny because other people will tell you there's 108 beads and it's a mandala and it means for a prayer for meditation. I bought this when I first moved here. And my goal for moving here was to become the best version of myself that I could right now and every day. Yeah. I recognize it's an ongoing process. And this is a reminder. I call these my DBAs. They're doing business as the man I want to be.
Yeah.
Doing business as my highest vibrational self. Not a guy who gets angry with people over small things that I realize are only affecting my ego or my attachment to some imaginary outcome that I'm projecting on others. But this is my peace.
Helps to keep you present.
DBA also stands for don't be an asshole. So, growing up in Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s and then living in LA and fucking Hollywood and downtown LA.
That's some pretty wild places.
Having a lot of success and being, growing into at some point really an egocentric person who, it's tough sometimes to be an egomaniac with low self-esteem.
Yeah, it's a dangerous combination.
So many artists commit suicide or have problems with, and people ask me all the time why I think that is. And I always say it's, getting on stage and bearing your soul and having people sing along and cheer for you. It's such a high. It's such a dopamine. It's such an endorphin.
I was going to say it's dopamine.
It's hard to ever, you're chasing it for the rest of your life, that feeling.
Yeah.
Nothing will quite do it like that. And the second time it happens, it's never like the first time. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's not like a fucking real problem, but it's a real problem.
It is a problem.
You know what I mean?
I think everybody. Yeah.
Just going to say, my last thing is everybody's biggest problem is everybody's biggest problem. No matter if you think it's big or not, it's big to them.
Exactly.
And if somebody's thinking about suicide or, harming themselves or hurting other people, I don't want to hear, people rag on them. Oh, poor rock star or poor whatever. You don't know what this person's been through. You don't know what they're going through in their mind. You don't know their mental health state. A lot of people have a lot of mental health disease that's untreated. They don't have any tools or resources. And a lot of men are afraid to say, I need help. Because we were taught you're a man. You don't ask for help. You fucking do it. You shut up. You tough up.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do with Mantorship is not on my own, but as a community, redefine what masculinity means in 2024 and going forward.
What do you think it means?
What does your generation want to teach your children it means to be a man?
So what does that mean? Yeah, you ask me? Okay. So, for me, I think there's a polarity between masculine and feminine. And I've had a couple of interesting episodes done recently. It's funny that we're on this kind of going in this direction because there's been two other guests that have been in this space as well. So I think there's two different types of polarities and approaches to the world. It's a masculine approach, a feminine approach. You don't have to be a man or a woman to be in those spaces. You can kind of be in both. But I think now it's men being conscious of the way they interact with the world, but also providing the positive direction and strength and providing guidance for those around them to move
I mean,
forward.
we need men that are responsible and accountable and are good providers and protectors and in touch with their feminine side too. And, you know, this is what we say in Mantorship, and we're a group of a lot of men, and we say this as a collective. We want to become better versions of ourselves so we can show up better for the women and the children and the other men in the world. You get what you give, man. You put it out there good. You know, you put it out there from a high vibrational standpoint. You do the best you can and you let go of the outcome. You can't make other people do things. You know, you're getting into an argument with somebody. Okay, I don't have to be right. I wish you peace, brother.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. I used to be a guy that was easily provoked into fist fights and arguments and more, you know, worse.
Where do you think that all came from? Like, what are the contexts of your years, like your early years, that would allow us to kind of understand this?
Growing up in Brooklyn was a tough place, man. You know, the movie Goodfellas is a true story about my neighborhood, Canarsie in Brooklyn in the 70s and 80s. So, you know, the guys in that movie are like my friends' dads and uncles.
Yeah, wow.
So there was always this thing hanging over the world. I mean, I didn't know anything outside of my neighborhood. I was a kid. You know, people got fucking murdered all the time. That was no big fucking deal. Yo, you heard so-and-so got whacked. Yeah, he was a rat. He ran his mouth. And then I lived on both sides of where I lived with two big housing projects, and there was a lot of racism and racial fighting and race riots, and people got beaten and killed all the time. And, you know, I was a person, you know, I was raised Jewish. I was a minority myself, and I played sports, and the place where I grew up hanging out we were like a mixed group. You know, I didn't hang out with just white guys or just black guys. We were just friends. Everybody was everything. It's New York. Everybody's Puerto Rican or something.
Yeah, of course.
And I never understood where this like hate, and this, I always thought it was just fear of what's different. And I saw a lot of fucked up shit in my life. I struggled with addiction through my life. I thought if you let somebody talk to you disrespectfully and you didn't take the respect from them with violence, then you weren't really a man and you weren't worth the respect.
Yeah, that's heavy.
If I said something to you and you told me to go fuck myself, I was going to beat an apology out of you to earn my self-respect.
Where do you think that came from?
My ass kicked trying. You know what I mean?
They should go down swinging.
Or if I thought the smart and wise thing to do was to not have a confrontation and back away from it, I secretly felt like I pussied out and didn't man up, because my idea of what a man was a man who had to prove to everybody around him his I don't know, his power, his strength, his possible superiority or ability to hold his own. I had a lot of confused ideas. You know, I didn't get that at home from my parents. My parents are good. My dad's a good man. You know, my dad's a peaceful, loving man who's a great leader, a teacher. My dad worked a lot when I was a kid, but my mom's also a teacher, you know. I learned this out in the street. I was into drugs and hanging out in the projects and the street corners and the park. And, you know, I had a lot of really good friends, still my friends, that we grew up together and made it out of there. And a lot of guys didn't make it. A lot of guys, to give you a context, my 10th grade, my sophomore class at Canarsie High School in Brooklyn was 1,400 and something kids, and the graduating class was 680.
Yeah, shit. So in 2 years.
So in those days, in 1985, you know, 40% of the kids who start high school finish in where I live. So of those kids, only a small percentage went on to like university, and a few people did some amazing things. And, you know, I look at where you come from because we're products of our environment until we gain the awareness that we can be anybody we want. And how I got into this, to answer your question, after all that, is I was writing a book and I was really feeling some kind of way about being an author because my parents are teachers. And I started doubting myself. I was writing and so inspired, but when it came time to talk about sharing it, I got like, ugh. And I'm not that kind of person. I get up on stage and fucking pick my, put my hands up. I'm good. I'm very comfortable in my skin, in my body, in my space, in my words, in my heart. And putting it on paper, it made it seem so definite. And I started to generate this illusion of what I believe this is to be something bigger than it is. So I invited some guys over the house under the guise of I have a woman who's a grandma from Oaxaca. She's 70 years old. Her name is Mama Lulu. And she cooks the most delicious food, healthy, vegetarian, Mexican food for me every day. So I told all my friends, who are all guys from the gym, everyone's in great shape. And I'm like, could you guys come by my house like Friday at 4:00 and Mama Lulu's going to make food. And I want to read a few pages out of my book and get some feedback from you guys and I want honesty. I want truth. Because if it sucks, maybe I'll just shelf this and put my valuable time and energy into something else. Because sometimes, hey man, I've dug down some deep rabbit holes only to go, wait, this isn't really what I want to do. Maybe I'm not that good. How about this? I'm not that good at this.
Yeah.
This is not going to connect.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because the original title of the book is funny, was The Power of Self-Belief.
Yeah.
Because I always believe any success anybody has in anything, in business, in relationships, in financial things, in spiritual success, is because you believe you can.
Well, it all starts with that, right? Because, I mean, you look at the world, and I say this to a lot of my friends and people in my life when they're feeling a bit down. And, sometimes I have to listen to it myself, but when they're feeling down, I tell them to look around at the world around them, and every single thing that you see is sparked from a human's idea and nothing more.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at how intricate the world is and how much humans affect it. And so anyway, they come to my house. I say, you got to listen to me read before we eat. So the food, everyone smells the food. We go up to the rooftop. It was a place like this, but 3 places I lived to go. And a bunch of guys that I'm still friends with, a lot of who are still involved in Mantorship, were there. And I read from my book, and everybody went around and organically just started sharing where these ideas touched their life right now and what they were struggling with. It became like a safe container for men to be vulnerable, knowing that we were all bros and that this was really about the journey within. And
with no judgment, just working through it.
So somebody shared something, and I gave them some feedback. And then somebody else chimed in with some feedback. And we developed this format because I said, all right, if someone's going to share, we'll go around. You share, we'll share for 5 minutes. And then for 5 minutes, other guys will give you feedback, which is like, some guy's like, man, I moved down here 4 months ago. I'm going through a divorce. It's killing me. And I go, who else has been through a divorce? And 3 other guys raised their hand. I go, who'd like to share something with Enrique over here? And next thing you know, guys are trading numbers and broing down. One guy says he wants to get back in shape. 2 guys are trainers. I say, hey, you want help being kept? Would you like some help being kept accountable? Anybody volunteer to be this guy's accountability buddy? This thing just started. It just was something I needed in my life. So I built a band of brothers around me. So this way, if I'm lacking motivation, if I'm lacking resources, if I'm lacking friendship or camaraderie or support, or I just want to fucking cry because I'm going through something that's gut-wrenching, I got guys I can talk to. And when I share it, it takes the power away from it because there's always some point of identification. So it started out like this. Everybody eats afterwards. The food's great. And one of the guys says, so same time next week? And I was like scratching my head. And I was like, I hadn't thought about it like that. And then another guy goes, yeah, you got to keep writing. That book is fucking good, man. It's like you're speaking from my heart.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I know I'm on the right track. And that was almost 2 years ago. I finished the book about 3 months ago,
Congratulations.
before I went on European tour. And I'm talking with book literary agents right now and some different. And so what's happened over the last, there's been a lot of guys come to the meeting. It started with 10 guys. Now it's like 40 guys. And we have to split into 2 groups. Otherwise, not everybody can share. And I started another group on Zoom because I was letting guys who came here and were traveling, digital nomads or people who had to go back to Australia or New Zealand or America or Europe, or they live in Ibiza half the year, still were dying for the connection and the brotherhood. So I was using Zoom, but it wasn't really convenient because there's no community to it. So we decided to move it into Discord. And I got to tell you, about 30, 40 guys have stepped forward in the last, 6 months and have helped us start a company, set up a business. We're offering programs, coaching plans, one-on-one Mantorship, which is coaching from the heart, from people with specific experience. So you want to get in shape, Coach Mac or Coach Kevin, they're functional trainers and they train professional NBA athletes, and they can train you in our container, in our Discord. You'll be able to just, buy a session with a guy like this or buy a package. And we're going to encourage all the men to go through our mandatory program, which is like an 8-week course, which has videos and PDFs that you do homework on, really an inventory of yourself and your life and your hopes and your dreams, and then getting your life and your actions in alignment with those things. Because how many of us want to be a surfer but live in the city? What the fuck are you doing, man?
It's not a priority.
How many of us live with terrible financial insecurity and we lay awake at night with anxiety and we're afraid to tell our partner what's not in the bank account or what's going wrong at work, and we lay there worrying, but we're not doing anything about it? How many of us really want to start our own business or pursue some aspirational career that's going to have impact in the world or be one of our dreams, but we don't take that step and that chance because we lack the confidence within ourselves or the support around us to help us believe that we can do something great? But I'll tell you, I've been a fucking millionaire, and I've been fucking flat broke and sleeping in my car. And now that I look back, never did it define me or my happiness, to tell you the truth.
But at the time, you thought it did?
At the time, I absolutely thought money equaled happiness. But I wasn't taking care of my life or myself or doing anything to become happy. I was just working to make more money obsessively and growing toxic on the inside because I wasn't taking care of myself and staying connected to my truth. Because the truth was, I didn't care about the business I was running that made a lot of money. I acted like I cared about it as a thing because I cared about the outcome. Yep. But life is not about the outcome, my friend. Life is about the journey. It's about how you move through it. So I want to move through it in a peaceful, harmonious way where every phone call I make, every meeting I take is working towards my purpose or my passion. It's either going to be a fuck yes or a fuck no.
Yeah. I'm glad this was a fuck yes.
Yeah. And, I'll give you credit for being persistent with me.
I'm a persistent guy.
I kind of run. No, something, my process is my process. And, we find people we fuck with or we don't fuck with. So I have a lot of things I'm working on that I'm really inspired about. And, I want to share with everybody in the world, especially the men, because I have a really good way of communicating with men, and that's through our powerful group. When you see one guy talking about something, okay, somebody's a talking head in fucking TikTok. Rah, rah, rah. A lot of people have something to say. But when a guy has a few hundred, a few thousand guys with him saying the same things and reaping huge benefits. You know, we get these testimonials from guys, and you can look in the Mantorship official Instagram, but we get guys saying, man, my fiance told me she got her man back because I'm sitting up a little taller and I'm gained my confidence back because my confidence was so low because whatever happened, because life happens, you know, and life's going to happen to you, you know, through your life. More probably than not, you're going to experience lots of death and financial problems, and you're going to struggle with who you are, and maybe you're going to struggle with your mental health and your emotional health, and you're going to struggle with your own fears, whatever they are, and your traumas from your whatever biggest problem may come and surface and cause you to have, I don't know, analysis paralysis in your life or fear of taking a big step.
Honestly, this is exactly where I'm at right now, going through this exact
Maybe you
thing.
live with a lot of regrets about not taking chances. And the truth is, we miss out on 100% of the opportunities we don't take. So feel bad about it now and do something about the next thing. Take some action. We don't just talk about what the problem is. You know, at Mantorship, we're really about the solution. I have going on right now, and I'm so stressed with this and this. And I'll ask the guy right here in front of 20 other guys, okay, that's real. What are you going to do about it? What is your action? What can you do? Is there something you can do? Is it just changing your perspective and seeing what's the bright side of this? You know, or is there some actionable item you can do to change the situation? Either way, just sitting how you're feeling is not going to change if you sit.
Yeah, you need to move. And I think that's the masculine element, is like getting moving. It's always just moving forward, focus.
And sometimes we need to learn just to be.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to learn to turn it on.
Yeah.
But we need to be a human being, not an unconscious human doing.
I like that. That's nice.
Because I've been in that mode where I wake up in the morning and I'm already going, and I don't take a moment to go, I'm grateful for another breath and another day. And wow, I have a great life and I'm fortunate, and I should be happy that I have the opportunity to work on the things I'm working on, because then you come from an abundance mindset and you manifest great things. When you live in a poverty mindset focused on what you don't have, you have a lack mentality and a low vibration. These aren't things people can see, but they feel.
Yeah, we all feel it. You can tell.
When you have a victim or a poverty mindset, people aren't investing in your company. People aren't offering you a gig, a job. People don't want to date you. Broken people want to date you. Broken people who are like, want to get involved in some weird thing where they're going to try to fix you or something, or you're fix, whatever your fucked up shit is. Yeah. And the thing is, we recognize it as men. We're all so similar. We start off with this one basic chunk of men DNA. The same way, I love animals. If you keep dogs or you keep cats, cats all kind of behave the same. Dogs kind of all behave the same. Men kind of have okay, we're different. We'd like different things. There's different types of men. We have different sexual preferences. We have different likes and dislikes. But the way we process things, the way we move forward in our lives, the way we feel is so fucking alike. It's crazy. Last Sunday on our Discord meeting, this is a Sunday morning meeting. It's 10 a.m. Eastern time. And you can figure that out wherever the fuck you are in the world. It's 10 a.m. Eastern time, and it's like 4 p.m. in Europe, 3 p.m. in England. And there was guys on from like 17 really unique locations at the same time, talking about the same shit, same feelings. And so this is
all the human experience, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of ironic, that I played in this super street level hardcore band, and I'm all tattooed like this, and people make these visual judgments, and then I was, an actor, play a bad guy on TV,
I'd love to talk about all this too at some point.
And then I marry a porn star and get in the porn business and spend 20 years in the adult business, living a bizarre reality show type of life. And you wake up one day and you're 50 and you're divorced 3 times, and you check the bank account where there was a lot of figures and there's less figures, and you're in a panic.
Yeah.
You're tired.
Yeah.
So I figured I'm either going to figure this out or die trying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to write a book along the way, because I would love to give back. So many people have helped me along the way in my life. I would love to give to other men. I have a son who's 28 years old. I have another son who's 21 years old. And, I'd love these guys to be able to my older son benefited a lot from my mistakes. He's a smart kid. He said, everyone's always like, you're such a good kid, Sammy. How come you've never been in trouble? You never have like drama like your father, And he goes, my pops told me when I was young to learn from his mistakes and not have to make them myself. So I did it. He goes, he's like a chill dude. He lives in downtown LA and he works on music. He's an artist, and you can look him up on Instagram. It's Sam Solomon, SamSalomon. And he's in a lot of my content. He also works with Biohazard on tour. He's one of our road managers and works with our social. Anyway, long story, but I'm grateful in my life to be my whole life full circle. I leave my band, I come back. The band is bigger than ever right now.
Yeah, tell me about this.
My son Sam, who's my closest bro in the universe, and is like on tour with me, hands me my bass when I go on stage, and flags me down in the middle of the show because the giant circle mosh pit, and he wants me to stand in front of it so he can make a video so we can share it later. And like, I can't pinch myself. After my 3rd divorce, I decided no more relationships for a while, and I know nothing's permanent, but for the next couple of years I was really single and enjoying, single life and dating and polyamory and lots of exploration. And I unwittingly met a girl a year ago and fell in love, and really changed my perspective on life, that love is eternal and love is infinite, and it can always come back into your life, and it can come back stronger, and we should never give up hope that we can be vibrating even higher and make deeper connections. And, I want to share with men that it's cool to be vulnerable, man. It's cool to be loving and giving and affectionate. I know so many dudes that are like on Instagram, and I know them, and I know their significant other. I know their wife or their girlfriend, and like, they never post anything together. Everything is them trying to look cool and trying to look like a model or trying to look like a something. And I'm like, man, I know you, and like, you don't show like your real true personality, and it's their social media and it's their choice, and there's no right and wrong. But I feel like, man, if I felt like I had to like hide my partner off my social media, man, I don't want that kind of partner.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be with somebody that I'm so proud of, that they're part of every step of my fucking story, because I'm fuck yes or fuck no.
I think that's a great way to be. I love the fuck yes or fuck no.
Relationship like that, or I'm not in a relationship.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at with everything in my life these days.
Yeah. I love it. Hey, quickly, I just want to jump into just to give the listeners some context. What is Biohazard, and I mean, we spoke about dopamine and all those issues and those considerations, but what have you experienced maybe on a crowd basis? What's the biggest crowd you've played to in Biohazard?
Well, I mean, just in June, we played to 600,000 people in Poland.
Jesus
and there was
Christ.
there was like 4 or 5 giant mosh pits that looked like an aerial photo of the weather when they speed it up, and they're like, this is Hurricane Irma over here. This is the cold front. There's videos of it on my Instagram. If you go to,
I think I saw it.
But there's been some really incredible crowds in Europe, in the Netherlands, and Argentina and Brazil, where sometimes there's 100.
Are you coming to Australia?
Yeah, we played in Australia quite a bit. I've played every arena in Australia. We were on tour opening up for Korn, opening up for Slayer, and opening up for Pantera. So we did 3 tours there. Then after I left the band was down there once and did Soundwave.
Oh, yeah.
But that was probably at least 10
That was
years
a while
ago.
ago. AJ Manor, the promoter.
So now, we're talking about coming back to Australia, do a proper tour.
Well, when you do, we'll catch up.
World. But, if you look on my social media, we post a lot of the dates. But, in the next 6 months, we're playing Summer Breeze Festival in Brazil is 250,000 people. We're playing in the Chile Metal Fest, which is, I think, smaller. I think it's probably 50 or 60,000 people, but they're all metal fans. So, proportionate. We're playing the Download Festival in London, which is a really prestigious,
Download's
big
huge
fucking deal, and it's over 200,000 people, and it's we're playing with some amazingly huge artists, and we're not allowed to talk about who it is yet.
That's all right. I won't press.
So yeah, it's exciting to have that going on in my life, but I'll be honest with you. I'm a person that can spin anything. If I listen to all my thoughts, I can turn that negative. There was a time when I was playing in the band and not enjoying it.
So what shifted?
I was really focused on the problems, the interpersonal relationships with the other guys, where I thought we should be rather than where we were in terms of the money we were making, the level of bookings we were getting, the amount of albums we were selling. So Biohazard is a band that put together heavy metal, hardcore, and hip-hop. Started in 1987. I was, 19 or 20 years old. And from this came the original band in 1989 that's still together today. And we fused metal with some hip-hop, and we played on some big movie soundtracks like Judgment Night and The Crow, and we did a lot of collaborations with groups like Cypress Hill and Onyx, and we toured with Wu-Tang Clan and Public Enemy, and we played shows with Ice-T and Ice Cube and Bone Thugs and Harmony, and we toured with those guys. And we toured with everybody from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Metallica to, we played shows with David Bowie and Guns N' Roses. So
it's a lot.
And we do a lot of underground shit. Our headlining shows, we came up playing in little clubs like CBGB's, inventing what would become the mosh pit. When somebody's crowd surfing at Coachella, it's because some guys in New York were, shaving our heads and, trying to let out our frustration in some kind of new way.
It's usually how the culture develops, right? How does that experience affect you? Like, how does that affect you? Like, playing to 600,000 people, it seems like you've done it now quite a lot, but without being...
Today I recognize that we are not the things we do. But I used to, in my 20s, I started to believe I was special. And people should treat me differently. And, I didn't want to wait in line at places. I was fucking entitled. And that breeds unhappiness. And nobody told me,
If you're an artist, from your experience, if you're an artist, it's, becoming potentially famous and moving into this space, because I deal with a lot of artists and I've worked with a lot of friends who are coming up as artists and some that have blown up. How do you not lose your head?
A lot of guys lose their head. Think of how many guys, like how many great lead singers were there in the 90s? Oh, a lot. But think of how many big ones are dead. Yeah. Kurt Cobain, dead. Chris Cornell, dead. Chester Bennington, dead. Michael Hutchence, dead from In Excess. I got a few others, and it's fucking escaping me right now. I apologize to all my fallen brothers who I don't know, felt some pressure that they wanted to either end their own life. Scott Weiland, I was with Scott Weiland days before he died, and he was a tortured soul. You know what? when you do something that other people think are extraordinary, it's easy to become surrounded by enablers and people who will pander to your lowest common denominator of whatever gets you back on the stage, because lots of people are making money from you. And
feeds into the dopamine stuff again as well.
A lot of us lose our way and don't know why we're doing it anymore. We don't know what else to do. We just imagine you're doing that and you're not happy. Imagine you're doing what you said was your dream, but you're not happy. That happens to lots of people, not just rock stars, doctors, lawyers, policemen, firemen, guys who wanted to be they wanted to work in IT, and then they find out they hate sitting at a desk. Time is your currency, guys. Men and women, doesn't matter who you are. Spend it with great intention.
I love it. So how could you manage those highs and those lows appropriately?
Well, for me today, in the day that I'm in, I just look at those as opportunities to have a high day.
Yeah.
Knowing what it is and knowing that I'm not that. And when I'm home and I'm sad because some project that I put time, money, and energy into has fallen down and I feel like I wasted my time, neither of those things define me. I'm a consciousness. I'm an intention of positive energy and love and creation.
So just detachment.
It's not detachment.
No?
It's detachment from allowing things outside myself to dictate my happiness. Not detaching an emotional attachment to an outcome from a thing. What do you think it's like to be on stage and you're playing and your crowd's cheering for you? In the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, why are we the opening band? Why aren't we the headliner here today? Man, what did we do wrong? What could we do better? Not that you shouldn't be trying to improve, but being like, whoa, this is awesome to be the opening band for Metallica or whoever the fuck we opened for. Grateful to be here. Let's figure out how we can grow this so we can someday be the headliner like we were in some other places. And, it's not about the outcome. I didn't know that.
Do you think that the development of the experiences and the ups and downs lead you to a point of equanimity in the long run where you can just roll with it how it may be? Do you have to go through the chaos to get to a point where you're like, all right? One
day at a time. You can choose to live that way, and it's all about the present moment. Carpe diem, memento mori, seize the day. Memento mori, remember we're going to die, so live your best. And try to be happy, man.
I've got that tattooed on my arm.
My girlfriend and I are
Memento
actually
mori, memento viver. Tattooed right
I know you do. I remember we talked about that, and me and my girlfriend are actually getting matching tattoos of that.
I love it.
I used to put on a party with the guys from Samna, with some other guys who were DJs and influencers, and we had every Tuesday night. Memento Mori was at Art Beach in Tulum for 14 weeks until the place got shut down.
Yeah, I love it.
It was fun. People were coming out and saying, this is such a cool concept. Live in the moment. Let's have fun on a Tuesday and just, listen to music, dance, mingle with friends. It was cool.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm conscious of your time as well. I feel like we should do a part 2 at some point because there's so much I'd love to get into with you. But do you mind if we do a few rapid fire questions to get to
Okay, let's wrap it up with this.
Sounds good. What's the most impactful book you've read and why?
It's a toss-up between The Power of Now and The Four Agreements.
Okay, both very good books.
Four Agreements probably had the most impact because I read it first. And it taught me not to take things personally or the idea. But I'd say the ideas in The Power of Now changed my life.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
When I read it and really understood it the way I did, because everyone interprets it differently, maybe subconsciously it planted the seed for me writing my book. I've seen Eckhart Tolle in person. I've gone to see him speak. He's one of my greatest inspirations,
Brilliant. And would you say that if you could only recommend one book to someone to read in their whole life? Power of
Power
now.
of Now. I bought it for a lot of people.
Yeah. I
What
love
I'll selfishly say soon is, if
Your
you're a
book.
man, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please. I'd love to read it. If you could only do one tourist activity before you died, what would that be?
Tourist activity?
Yeah, just some experience, some place, thing. If you had to pick one.
I've been that hit me hard to have to pick one. I've been all over the world.
I bet.
It's funny you mentioned your festival, Sundancer, because Thailand is one place on my bucket list I haven't been. So you never know.
Join us.
I have some friends there who've been inviting me. It's just been
Come, brother. The pressure is continuing. The pressure is building.
Flights more than 10 hours. I really need my arm twisted or someone else paying.
It's a half an hour and a Xanax.
Yes.
I love it. So yeah, what would you say? Tourist activity before you died? Thailand. Is that your?
Stay on a beach in Thailand for a month unplugged.
I love it. If you could give the listeners the top 3 things they could do to create a life similar to yours, what would you say? Like maybe we'll go with
brutally. Number 1, get brutally honest with yourself about what it is you really want, regardless what anybody else thinks. 2, make a commitment to have a fiduciary duty to your life, that by any means necessary, and using all your power and resources and facing all your fears, that you're going to commit to making that happen. And 3 is bet on yourself to win.
That's a big one.
And don't be afraid to take chances, because every chance we take, and the only thing constant in the world around us is change, and the world around us is changing faster than it's not. So here's the 3rd thing: celebrate the beauty of impermanence, and knowing that whatever you're doing now is going to probably end, and you'll be doing something else later, and look forward to the excitement of figuring out the transition. It'll be a process, and you'll learn and you'll grow, because no real growth happens in our comfort zone.
Of course. And what do you think the why of all this is? What is the meaning of life? Rapid fire, just the easy questions.
Love.
Yeah.
Love and connection is the meaning of life.
I love it. Thanks, Evan. Appreciate you coming on the podcast. Love it.
All right. Looking forward to part 2.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good.
Cheers.